Shinya Kiritani, commonly called Shin, is a 21-year-old veteran player of VR MMO games who is currently trapped in a new game called The New Gate. In this game, dying means dying in the real world. Shin has been fighting for years, and many people support him. He chose the samurai class as his main class, a high human race, and has become the top player in the game. One day, he bids farewell to his friends at Moon Sanctum to confront the final boss. His friends have high hopes for Shin because he is the only one with enough ability to finish the game. Shin's friends are supporting characters, also known as NPCs. In the final boss room, Shin initially struggles to defeat the boss because it keeps regenerating quickly. After some time, Shin finally seizes a golden opportunity. After successfully defeating the final boss, Shin becomes a hero for completing the new gate after so long. The logout button is now available, and players can log out now. However, Shin intentionally waits for 10,000 players to log out first. Shin has a lot of experience in this game, and now is the most important moment of his life to part with this death game. Some time passes, only Shin remaining, and he is about to log out. But suddenly, there's a bug in the boss room exit door where a beam transfers him to another world. Initially, Shin is unaware that he is in another world. Shin knows about VR development, but he doesn't believe that VR could provide such realistic visuals as he sees now. Then Shin tries to open the main menu window, and he finds that all the menus are still the same as in the new gate. Therefore, Shin assumes that he is still in the game world, even though he has pressed the logout button. Then Shin also feels strange that all his character's status points exceed the normal limits of the new gate game. Only his luck status remains the same as before. Shin doesn't think too much about this because the new gate is over. But Shin sees that his logout button is missing again. Shin panics, and he immediately checks the list of players who have logged out. But unfortunately, it says that there is no internet connection to his VR. Normally, game characters in the new gate wouldn't move if this happened. Seeing this, Shin finally understands that he is in another world like the fiction stories in manga and light novels, but he doesn't understand the game features that still exist in this other world, especially Shin's items and money. Then Shin decides to gather information first and return to Moon Sanctum soon. Upon arriving home, Shin sees an elf girl surrounded by people. They ask about the master of Moon Sanctum to the elf girl. The elf girl refuses to reveal her master's whereabouts to them. However, they force her and immediately take her somewhere. Shortly after, strange magic emanates from the elf girl's hair, causing fierce monsters to approach them. Of course, they flee, and the fierce monsters are about to attack the elf girl. Shin saves the elf girl while using his magically enhanced physical strength. Then they introduce themselves at Moon Sanctum. This sexy elf girl is named Tiara. Tiara thanks Shin, and she guesses that Shin is acquainted with her master. Tiara has never seen Shin before, so she doesn't know him. Shin is a little confused because he doesn't know who Tiara's master is. And when Tiara mentions the name Shni Razar, Shin is surprised because Shni has a servant like Tiara. Shin only knows that Shni is a high elf with a stunning body and long silver hair down to her waist. Then their conversation pauses for a moment because Tiara thinks Shin is a perverted man. Shin explains that Shni is an old acquaintance, and Shin wants to meet her now. Tiara doesn't reveal her master's whereabouts to Shin because he is a suspicious man. But Tiara can deliver Shin's message to her master later for a considerable fee. Then Shin immediately pays the fee with 1 gold coin of a currency different from his inventory. The item box is only used by kings or elders of certain races. Moreover, the gold coin Shin gave is too valuable, tens of times the value of the currency mentioned by Tiara, and can even be used to strengthen magic. Tiara wonders who Shin really is. Of course, Shin is surprised because his gold coin should be the lowest in the new Gate game. Then Shin says that he is a high human race and just an ordinary adventurer. Tiara is puzzled because the high human race should have been extinct for a long time, and only ordinary humans are left. There are 6 high human races, and they disappeared suddenly during the sunset on Prosperity Incident 500 years ago. Not only high humans, but many races disappeared suddenly when that incident occurred. After hearing that, Shin remembers when he successfully defeated the final boss of the new gate. At that moment, 10,000 trapped players managed to log out, and Shin was the last player to log out of the game. But instead, he was suddenly transferred to another world. That means this world is the game world 500 years in the future after the incident of 10,000 players logging out. And for the NPCs in this world, it's a significant incident. Then Shin thanks Tiara for providing important information, and in return, Shin still wants to give his gold coin to Tiara.
後から返せとか言わない?
言わねえよ。
Tiara was very happy because she could finally see the valuable gold coin in person. When Shin saw Tiara's happiness, he sneakily glanced at Tiara's very large assets. Then Shin shifted his gaze and said that elves like Tiara surely needed the gold coin to strengthen their magic. Tiara was surprised because Shin could see Tiara's elf form. Shin was confused by Tiara's words because he always saw Tiara as a beautiful dark-haired elf girl. Shni had cast an illusion spell so that others wouldn't see Tiara's elf form. Tiara's dark hair also brought disaster due to a curse that was difficult to remove. Because of that, Tiara was expelled from the village because her curse always attracted monsters to approach her. Shni had saved her and allowed her to stay in Moon Sanctum. A barrier had been installed around Moon Sanctum so that Tiara could live there comfortably. Shni was currently looking for a way to investigate and remove the curse on Tiara's hair to restore its original color. Then Shin felt that he had known about Tiara's curse before. Shin immediately used his analyze ability from the menu window and removed the curse.
確かこの辺に。
何してるの?
行くぞ。浄化。
Shin succeeded in removing Tiara's curse, but Tiara's hair only changed in the front half. When Tiara looked in the mirror, she was very happy because after hundreds of years, she could finally see her hair's original color. Although not entirely changed in color, Tiara felt it was enough and appreciated Shin's kindness. Then Shin invited Tiara to try going out and see the surroundings. Initially, Tiara was worried that the monsters would approach her again, but Shin reassured her that if there were monsters, he could easily defeat them.
よし、出るぞ。呪い、ちゃんと解けてたな。
そうみたいね。
そうだな。
空って広いのね。
After they returned to Moon Sanctum, Tiara asked about Shin's next plans because Shni hadn't returned for some time. Shin said he wanted to go to the nearest city. Then Tiara gave Shin a letter of introduction that would be very useful for him to enter the kingdom of Beiruth. Shin wouldn't need to queue at the entrance to the Beiruth kingdom if he showed that letter of introduction. Tiara also gave the letter of introduction as a token of her gratitude. Tiara blushed a little because she felt that this was not enough to repay Shin's kindness. Then Shin bid farewell to Tiara, heading straight to the city of Beiruth and then to the Adventurers Guild. Shin needed to gather more information about this world, so he registered as an adventurer there. He met a beautiful receptionist named Celica, and Celica said that the registration counter was on the second floor. However, after Shin arrived at the receptionist on the second floor, he met Celica again. Then the girl said that she was Celica's twin sister, Silica. After Shin registered as an adventurer, he dined at the guild restaurant first and would rest at the inn later. Shin realized that the adventurer's equipment there was of very low quality compared to what he knew from the new gate. Shin had a subclass as a blacksmith, so he could understand about equipment. Shortly after, Celica personally served food to Shin, and Celica immediately sat in front of him. Of course, Shin was confused because only he was given special treatment like this. After Celica gazed at Shin for a few minutes, she whispered softly in Shin's ear, saying she heard the news that Shin had a letter of introduction from Moon Sanctum. So Celica wanted Shin to go to the Guildmaster's room to check the authenticity of the letter of introduction. After Shin finished eating, he met the Guildmaster named Barluxheim, and immediately showed the letter of introduction on the table. Then Barlux also took out his letter of introduction and stacked it on top of Shin's letter of introduction. With that, the authenticity of the letter of introduction could be ensured because they resonated with each other. Shin was surprised that there was a way to check something like this, and Tiara didn't tell him before. Barlux said that the letter of introduction was very valuable and could even be used to directly meet the king, not only in the kingdom of Beiruth, but it could be used in almost other countries as well. The letter of introduction was like an identity and had to be guarded carefully. But if Shin couldn't keep it safe, he could give the letter of introduction to the Adventurers Guild. Then Shin was determined to keep the letter of introduction because Tiara had entrusted it to him. In the evening, Shin could rest peacefully and hoped that Schnee would return to Moon Sanctum soon.
目覚めたら現実に戻ってるなんて都合のいいことは起きなかったな。
Then Shin quickly changed his costume so as not to be suspected by other adventurers. Shin was now a low-ranking adventurer and had to be just an ordinary adventurer while gradually increasing his guild rank, starting from G rank as the lowest to SS rank as the highest. After Shin got his adventurer ID card, he told Celica that he would do the herbal plant quest first. After Shin left the Adventurers Guild, Celica felt that Shin was a mysterious person because he was too relaxed in living this life. Several hours passed. Shin struggled to find the herbal plants that should have been the easiest quest when he played this game at the global release. When Shin tried to look at the map, he saw that there were monsters moving randomly around there. Then Shin slowly approached the monster to identify it, and it turned out to be a unique monster with level 359. Shin also saw a broken horse carriage there, which meant that the unique monster had finished rampaging. Shin had heard rumors yesterday that the unique monster was causing concern among adventurers and traders because there had been casualties due to its attacks. Therefore, Shin immediately attacked the unique monster before there were any more casualties.
耐えられるのはあとひとたちくらいだな。それにアンデッド系モンスターが光属性の体験を持ってるなんて聞いたことねえ。リミットオフ。おっ。これは一体。